Yeah, good evening, everyone. Once again, a very warm welcome to your own talk show, Friday evening talk show. Just a minute, okay. Yeah, sorry. Uh, Summer season is already started. Corona is always on the top because of negligence from our side or whatever is reason. But Friday evening talk show is never ever we uh, we never forget, and this is one of the reason that this is a marathon program. We always said BMA, whatever is challenges are there, uh, as we know, we never ever care about it, and we always move ahead. uh, just now we have completed 1 year of the pandemic situation, but happy to say in this pandemic situation Friday evening talk show has run very successfully. And in fact, we can say with the very record number this year, we have added many uh, participants as well as the speaker. And this is one of the beauty that because of pandemic situation, I think we know about the utility of the digital India, and that's the Zoom webinar facility. So today's speaker is again from the Bombay. Welcome, madam. Ms. Harini Srihasan. Please, you can switch on your video. Deepak Bhai is also there with us after a mini vacation. Deepak Bhai, once again, a welcome. Right now, you are on the panelist part. As per your convenience, as per your time, you can
I'm there.
start the video.
Nimita, I'm there,
Yeah.
but I don't think that I'll be able to speak longer.
No, no, no,
So
no,
I'll
no.
be just be the like other participants. And
Yeah.
thank you, Nimil Bhai, for handling the Friday evening talk so nicely. And you are the backbone of BMA for since last 15 years. And I think that one of the success the success of Friday evening talk. And if I have to give one person name, so then I can say that it is basically because of Mr. Nimil Bhai Bakshi. So Nimil Bhai, thank you very much for helping me and the people who are handling FET earlier, all of them, for this Friday evening talk. And you are always the person who come at a rescue when people are not able to handle. So thank you very much for helping in handling this Friday evening talk. And I think that I'll be able to speak only this much. Thank you.
Okay.
From next week onwards, I
Okay,
think I
Deepak
should
Bhai.
be active.
Uh, that's the, you can say, the identity of the powerful person, that after almost, I think, 10 to 12 days at hospital due to corona, you have conducted one Friday evening talk from hospital bed. When you are on the bed, and you have identified, help us to identify the speaker. When you remove the mosquito oxygen mask and just call me, that better way you do this one thing, you call Dr. Saurabh sir. That's your identity, Deepak bhai. Thanks a lot, and nothing else. Yeah, Miss Harini Srinivasan, can you just start your video?
It says the host has stopped it, so probably you'll have to enable it.
Yeah. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Yes, there I
Yeah.
am.
Welcome
No problem.
again, madam. So this is our identity of BMF family. You can just you enjoy the live relationship between the BMF family members. That's the reason we always
Absolutely.
we never ever say participant or audience. We always say it's a family member. Uh,
Absolutely.
अब दीपक भाई ने बात निकाली है तो मैं भी बोल देता हूँ कि Halol, and due to some accident on the road, not with me, with other party, I was stuck up on the road, and BMA I
Hmm.
have to run because at that time I was the chairman. You
Hmm.
will surprise. I call one of the person from audience,
Hmm.
that Mr. Arora. Mr. Arora,
Hmm.
can you help me to start the Friday evening talk show? Will say, okay, I have experience. I will do my best. When I reached to the BMI at that time, Friday evening talk was started by the audience, not from the chairman, not
Oh,
from any BMA person. So this is the
oh,
identity, and yes, in our this training kind of area or this kind of subject, Right now, you feel amazing. This after watching this, all these banners, same feeling for me even today after attending this many Friday talk. Reason is every Friday is a something different. 180-degree subjects we are selecting. Speakers from various area. Last week we talked about the IoTs, and
Hmm.
this week I will talk about something altogether different topic. First of all, breaking myth about the design thinking. What is the meaning of thinking? Generally, thinkings of the cycle, I think every day we are using maybe 10, 15, 20 times. I don't know how many times, but we don't know what is the basic behind this. And maybe some of the friends is ask me, डिजाइन थिंकिंग मतलब ऐसा सब्जेक्ट होता है क्या? ऐसे कि स्पीकर ने जिस तरह से स्पीकर की बैकग्राउंड है, स्पीकर का टॉक के बारे में जो बात हुआ है विद चेयरमैन, डेफिनेटली फर्स्ट टाइम मे बी पॉसिबिलिटी कि इतने थिंकिंग वर्ड के बारे में भी साइंटिफिक अप्रोच पॉसिबल है, एंड देर आर सम डेफिनेशंस इज दैट. And why not? Because speaker, oh my God, she is a basically HR leader with the expertise in all areas of HR across the geographic, including India, Europe, Middle East, Turkey, and many more countries. From the capital of India, Bombay itself is an global hub, but also experienced globally. She has completed over the 3,500 hours of mentoring and over 250 hours of the leadership coaching design and then assessment centers for the mid-level to senior leaders. Oh, and again in the engineering industry, Deepak bhai, our own industries, engineering industries, today's speaker has experience with the HR area. મજા આવશે આજે તો ખરેખર જાણવાનું નવું મળશે. Very very big. You see, madam is handling the engineers. That means that's the fantastic. Because this is the one of the lack of, we can say, as an engineer, honestly I admit that this is one of the area where throughout the engineering and after engineering also, I always feel what is the relevance and importance of HR for the engineering people, even though
Yeah,
it's a simple marketing.
I come from a family of engineers.
Oh,
My father is an engineer. My brother is an engineer. So engineering is my way of thinking. My mindset is engineering mindset. So to relate with engineers is something that comes very naturally to me. So that's been a blessing
okay,
in my
okay,
background.
okay. So proven expertise again in the business transformation using the HR analytics, HR automation, organizational restructuring. Wow. And the change management in MNC. Fantastic. And extensively collaborated with the multi-regional and global HR team. Wow. Business transformation and as a design thinker, behavior scientist, and neuroscience enthusiast. Wow, and popular panelist and the speaker at HR forum on various topic and guest faculty as a university and business school. Wow, what a great experience in the HR area. So congratulations for the excellent experience. And I will not take much more time. Let's move forward because eagerly me and other engineer Deepak Bhai both are waiting to hear you. Thank you. So next 45 minutes is yours, madam. In between that, if you have any questions, please in the chat box or Q area. Thank you. And at the same time, live YouTube streaming already started. I will share the link in the chat box. If anybody is interested and facing problem to connect with the Zoom, they can connect. Sure. Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much, Nimil bhai. It is a pleasure to be here. And I was in Vadodara for almost a month, but unfortunately, conditions were not good to meet face to face. But I'm looking forward to being there sometime because I have a home in Vadodara as well. I
Oh,
have a home in Vagodia, so I keep
oh,
shuttling sometimes. So hopefully, sometime in the near future, we should meet face to face. I have a
wow.
very long relationship with Vadodara. I have a very long
Oh,
relationship with Gujarat as well because I grew up in Ghatkopar in Mumbai, which is a Gujarati hub. So,
it,
so I am very
Ghatkopar,
Gujarati by heart as well.
in Ghatkopar, I can say compare the Barodian with
Exactly.
yeah,
So
I fully agree.
yeah.
Thanks.
So let me just straight away jump into the topic. So the very fact that I did not come with a PowerPoint slide deck is very simple, that design thinking as a process. Let me explain to you, let me demonstrate to you during this talk itself how design thinking as a process is a way of thinking, and it is not a jargon which people use for selling training programs. Okay. I did my practitioner certification in design thinking very recently. But if I look back on my experience, wherever things have worked very well and in a sustainable manner, I have actually applied design thinking as a framework, as a process. So it's not a new age jargon, it has been there. And if you look at it, it very simply put, design thinking is a people-centric process of problem solving. Very, very simply put, that's what it is. The moment you put your people in the center of the problem statement and you find a solution around the people, then you are using a design thinking mindset. So at the outset, let me start breaking some myths. So design thinking actually emerged, it was created and made popular by a couple of engineers who are working on a product design. So definitely product design is where design thinking really became popular. It was made popular by engineers, interestingly. But the myth is that design thinking is suitable only for products. That's a myth. So the first myth I want to break is that design thinking is a way of thinking. And I would compare it with a traditional thinking. And I would say traditional thinking is a way in which thinking process happens. And design thinking is a different way in which the thinking process happens. So it has got nothing to do with products. If you can think through processes using design thinking as a framework, as a methodology, as a way of thinking, then you have processes which are people-centric. When you think through policies, all of us in HR, when we are doing talent management, we come up with policies. That's what we do for bread and butter. So when we come out with policies, if you apply the design thinking way of the approach, if you apply design thinking as a methodology, then you have a policy which is people-centric and which is more sustainable. So definitely design thinking is not only for products, it is also applicable for services. It's also applicable for processes and policies. So as simple as that. So that first myth that design thinking is for products is busted. I'll also walk you through how you actually apply it. Let me take a step back, and I spoke about traditional thinking and I said how design thinking is different from traditional thinking. And let me run through a few examples of how design thinking and traditional thinking are different. In traditional thinking, what we are told, what's our traditional mindset of thinking is think through end to end. Make a complete plan, think through end to end, and be thorough with the plan. That is traditional thinking. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But where design thinking is different from traditional thinking is that think through end to end, but be flexible in making changes or making course corrections till you reach your destination. Okay. So traditional thinking draws a complete roadmap till your destination is reached, whereas design thinking says be flexible to change the way you're thinking so that you reach your destination faster. Now, if I were to bring that here in context, if I bring to you a prepared slide deck, okay, so I am going to use 10 slides, and this is the slide deck you will see. I will walk you through the slide deck. I will read what's there on the slides. Then I'm using traditional thinking. Okay, then you are forced to listen whatever I am telling you. But me being a design thinker, I'm here with the entire concept with me in my mind, but I'm going to be telling you whatever you want me to tell. I'm going to be serving you what you want me to serve you. Okay, whatever you want to hear, that's what you're going to hear from me. So you're going to be driving this conversation. And how is, I would greatly appreciate if questions start coming in the chat box as I speak. Okay, I will be able to design my talk based on that. I normally do that for every talk, unless I'm presenting some data or some facts or some images to trigger your thinking. But otherwise, I don't need a slide deck because I want to play to my gallery. You're my audience. Let me play to what you want. This is design thinking. A traditional thinking would be to come with a pre-prepared slide deck, whether it is Baroda Management Association or whether it is Bharuch Dahej Management Association or whether it is Bombay Management Association, the same slide deck will go. But in design thinking, I carry with me the concept and the concept alone, and all my attention and focus towards my audience who wants to hear me. And as you ask questions, I keep unraveling a lot more. So the same subject talk will sound different for different audiences. Now look at it from the audience perspective. A traditional mindset presentation becomes very predictable. Now you're putting it up on YouTube. It's going to be there on your channel. How is it going to be different from the talk that I did for Bharuch Dahej Management Association a few months ago? On the same topic, how is it going to be different is that the audience here drives what I'm speaking. So no two conversations on the same subject will be the same. So imagine yourself as a listener. And if you are listening to all these talks, imagine the amount of conceptual knowledge you're getting as an accumulation of all these conversations. So that's what design thinking gives you differently from traditional thinking. Okay? Traditional thinking tells you that you have to be perfect and you should not fail, and therefore you have to be very thorough in what you're doing. Design thinking tells you it's okay to fail, but fail early. And if I bring that into the workplace context, when you're working on projects, you're using a traditional mindset, you're coming up with an idea, you're creating something, you're creating a product, you're creating a service, you're creating a process, whatever it may be, you are releasing the end product. You're not doing anything in the middle, because traditional thinking says you be thorough in your subject, you're an expert, find out what you have to do, keep doing it, and deliver a beautifully constructed final product or service. Now, if that has a flaw in it, what happens? Failure happens after you have released the product. And when you have released the product, a lot of effort has obviously gone into it, time and cost. The entire manufacturing process is completed. You have manufactured your entire inventory and you're delivering it. And at that stage, if it is not satisfying the needs of your end customer, it's a huge loss. Calling back anything or recalling after the finished stage is a huge loss. Now, traditional thinking has the risk, however thorough you are, there could be miscommunication or misunderstanding of what is the need and what you have delivered, what you have designed, and what finally goes out into the market, into the user. If it is not catering to their needs, and if it fails there, even if it's a small failure, even if it's a small change request, if you have to go back and do it, a lot of time, effort, and money is already spent. But in design thinking, it says, even the problem statement, you have to go and redefine. And the redefined problem statement is what you will work on. And you will create prototypes before you release the final product or a final version. The prototype allows you to fail even at that stage before the final version is out. Now, these are two very prominent differences between traditional thinking and design thinking. Another difference is traditional thinking actually gives you a closed mindset towards options. It doesn't throw up too many options, because traditional thinking says, I know everything, I know the solution. It has come to me because I'm an expert and I have to deliver to the best of my ability. And all of us have limitations. We can explore and research and find out only a few solutions. But design thinking opens up a plethora of options, because in design thinking, one individual is not necessarily the expert. So when I approach a problem statement with wearing a design thinker's hat, which I always do, I'm not a traditional thinker at all. When I do that, what happens is I approach the problem statement saying, I do not know, tell me more. In traditional thinking, I approach the problem statement saying, I know the solution and I'm working on it and I'll give you the solution. In design thinking, I approach the problem statement saying, I do not know, tell me more, let me get more insights. And what I'm actually doing there is I'm building a solution that the end user really wants. And I'm not giving a solution which I think is right. See the difference? Okay. Now, these are the differences between a traditional thinking and a design thinking. So let me move into what happens at the workplace. Now, I'm speaking about applying design thinking for people, policies, and processes. Now, you might wonder, if an organization needs a policy, it needs a policy. इसमें design thinking कहाँ से आया? क्या काम है design thinking का? Let me give you an example. One of the organization, and this is, I mean, I have two very classic examples, and they are really where design thinking was hang on applied. So I'll talk about that. One example is a bunch of people came to me in one of my previous organizations, and they said, so and so company has introduced paternity leave. Okay. And they have about 15 days of paternity leave when the baby is born. And we should also do that for our people. Okay, that was a need given by the employees. Now, management has another view here. Management says, ours is an engineering project management company, and we need our billability to be very high. Our people have to be billable most of the time because that's how we generate our revenue. We already have people with a lot of leave balance accumulation, and understanding HR statutory provisions. When leave is encashed, it is encashed at the current rate, which means when these people leave, when leave is encashed, we're going to be paying them a huge amount, some amount of money. So anyway, that is a huge cost to company as it is. And do you think it is right for us to introduce another leave type called paternity leave? Valid point. So here, a traditional mindset thinker would say, either would go back and tell the employees that please consume your accumulated leave. Okay. But you would have issues. There could be some new joinees who are in the biological age of becoming a father or a mother, and they would say, mother of course gets maternity benefit, but biological age of being a father, and they would say that we don't have enough of leave accumulation, so we do need paternity leave. A lot of such combinations and complications can happen. Now, what does a design thinker do here? A design thinker does not jump into what should be the policy. A design thinker does not jump into how I drive the policy. A design thinker starts with the why. Remember Simon Sinek, the 3 concentric circles, which he calls as golden circles, or start with the why. So a design thinker actually starts with the why. Why are people asking for paternity leave? Right? So in design thinking, start with the why. Do not jump into the what. Do not jump into the solution. Do not even start thinking about the solution. Let's stay with the problem statement for a while, and let's figure out, why is this problem statement really becoming a problem statement of today? Okay. So the design thinking framework is like this. I'm taking this as an example, a real life example. It is actually done, and I'm going to apply the design thinking framework. So, okay, so the first stage in design thinking here is empathy. Okay. I have received a problem statement. I'm sitting on it, but I am not jumping onto the solution. Empathy here is where I look at the problem statement from an end user's perspective. I don't look at it as myself, but I look at it as an end user of the policy. So I do a conversation, I do a series of conversations with different stakeholders, different end users. So it could be the people who brought the problem to me, it could be their managers, it could be senior management, so on and so forth. I decide, and ideally it should be a diverse 360-degree view of things so that we look at the same problem statement from different angles. So the empathy conversations here, the stage 1 empathy, it revealed a lot of insights. Why are people asking for paternity leave? Is it because competitors are giving paternity leave? Is it because paternity leave is a new age style statement type of leave? Is it because people want more leave? What turned out is people are asking for paternity leave because everyone feels it is also the father's responsibility to spend quality time with the child. Agreed? That is how paternity leave actually came up. But if I were to apply traditional thinking, I would have to convince management, how do I convert some of the existing leave to paternity leave so that there is not too many leaves available and all of that. But my point is, when I went back and did these empathy conversations with them, I arrived at what is called as a point of view statement or a POV statement. Okay. A POV statement is where you come up with asking yourself a question, how may I generate a type of leave in such a way that people with newborn children, fathers of newborn children, are able to spend quality time with their children, with the child. Okay. Now, this is a point of view statement or a redefined problem statement. We started with a problem statement of we need paternity leave. After empathy conversations, we arrived with a refined problem statement or a point of view statement which says, how may I generate a type of leave so that fathers of newborns are able to spend quality time with the child? See the difference from where we started and where we have arrived? This happened through the empathy conversations. Now see how it is taking a turn towards what the policy really became. Now, after we did that, we moved on to a stage of ideation. So empathy is the first stage in design thinking. The second stage is define or redefine. The third stage is ideate. The point of view statement is the link between the first two stages and the third stage. It takes you to the third stage. So the first two stages of empathy and defining the problem statement, they're called as the inspiration stage, where you're not giving a solution, but you're drawing inspiration or insights from what your audience is telling, from what people are telling. Okay? Now, in the inspiration stage, at the end of it, you arrive at the point of view statement, which leads into the ideation stage. Now, what happens in the ideation stage? Randomly get your empathy audience, get your design thinking team into a room and ask them to think about and generate as many ideas as possible which addresses the point of view statement. Remember, at this stage, do not jump to the first statement saying we need paternity leave. Now you have come so far with inspiration and you have come to a point of view statement where you're saying, how may I come out with a type of leave or design a type of leave so that fathers of newborns are able to spend quality time with their child? Okay. Let the team generate ideas. Now here you're supposed to use brainstorming tools. There are multiple brainstorming tools. You have to use the appropriate one depending on the size of the audience, depending on the psychological safety between audience, because when people have to generate ideas, they have to be non-judgmental about themselves. Okay. Sometimes when we have to brainstorm and we have to give out ideas, we ourselves feel, no, should I give this idea? Would I be judged about it? Isn't it a silly idea? And we eliminate a lot of ideas in our own minds. Okay. But in the ideation phase, what is really encouraged during design thinking process is that do not eliminate any idea, however trivial you may think it is at that point. Be absolutely non-judgmental, and every single idea that you're generating has to be discussed. It has to reach the board. Okay. So there are several such brainstorming tools which allow you to think, open up your thinking, think freely, and generate as many ideas as possible. Okay. So the ideation phase, all these ideas are taken together, and as a group, depending on which ideating brainstorming tool you're using, there are ways in which it is done. As a group, you come out with the top 3 ideas, which can be converted to a prototype for testing. Okay. So if you look at what is happening in your way of thinking, how your brain is thinking is, initially, your brain is thinking in a divergent way. Okay. It's generating as many empathy conversations and insights towards the first problem statement. So your brain is doing divergent thinking and understanding different point of views, different perspectives, looking at the same problem from different angles. So the brain is doing divergent thinking. After you've done all the empathy conversations, when you're narrowing down on a point of view statement, your brain is doing convergent thinking. Okay. So divergent thinking, collecting all inspirations, convergent thinking, crystallizing that to a point of view statement. Again, divergent thinking. For that point of view statement, generating as many ideas as possible. Here, do not focus on the quality of ideas, focus on the quantity of ideas, because you never know which idea could be a breakthrough idea. So again, divergent thinking, focus on the quantity of ideas, get all the ideas, and then narrow down and come out with the top 3 ideas which have been chosen by the group. Again, a divergent thinking. So if you notice, the brain is doing divergent, convergent, divergent, convergent. to converge on the top 3 ideas. The top 3 ideas move on to the next stage, which is the 4th stage, which is called as prototype. In the prototype stage, what you do is you actually test the idea with a group of people who are your testing team. You yourself can be part of the testing team, but again, get a diverse set of people to test the idea and see how it works. So one idea was paternity leave should be something which is not necessary to be consumed as soon as the child is born. It should be something which is long lasting. That was an idea. Now, how do you build a prototype out of it? I just saw a question popping up. It says, how do you rate the ideas at top 3? Dilip bhai, I'll come to it in a moment. So one of the ideas was paternity leave should be something which is prolonged and not necessarily as soon as the child is born. And this was something which was picked up as a brilliant idea, and the whole group had consensus about this being part of the paternity leave design. Now, my challenge was, which organization is going to allow paternity leave which is prolonged, and how do you design it, right? So how we came up with this is, okay, so when we focused on what makes you say that, we went back and did empathy conversations, trying to ask what makes you say that. And we realized that if you look at a typical life cycle of a child growing up in India, when the child is born, you have enough of a support system. Okay, you have enough of a support system at home. Whether the father really needs to be there in front of the extended family spending full time, there is a question. But many people, many young couples these days are in nuclear families. They go back to their workplaces, cities where they work, into nuclear families with no support system. That is when probably you need the father to be around a lot more. Even if you're staying in your joint families, what about the different days when vaccination is happening, when the child is going through vaccination? And there are a lot of frequent vaccination till the age of 5. So wouldn't it be great if the father is part of those vaccination days, goes with the mother and the child? Wouldn't it be great if the father is able to see the child on his or her first day of school? Wouldn't it be great if the father is able to be with the child on every single first milestone in the school? Okay. Then it emerged that in your design, you can have a paternity leave, let's say 30 days paternity leave. You need not crunch it to the 30 days as soon as the child is born. Probably that would be a wasting away of that leave. Why don't you allow young fathers to exercise their paternity leave for the next 5 years in a staggered manner? Maybe 1 day, maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days, maybe 5 days, whatever it is, depending on what is the milestone of that child. So we came up with a paternity leave policy after testing this prototype and going back. So what happens in design thinking is, if a design fails at the prototype stage, a prototype is something where the look and feel of the final product or service or policy has to be there, and people have to try it out, imagine, look and feel, whatever. And if they find anything which is not addressing a problem, it goes back into empathy stage, it may go back into ideation phase, it may go back into any phase. So design thinking is not a linear step-by-step process. Design thinking is a cyclic and iterative process. Whichever stage you feel the product or service or process or policy is failing, it is not catering to what the final end user needs. Design thinking pushes you back to a stage from where this idea came up, and you start reviewing it from that new perspective. So more the number of iterations, and these iterations have to be critical. It's not about looking good and finishing it and releasing. Then it will not work. It will have its flaws. And there are lots of flaws even in the legal laws, acts that get released, where they've not thought through of all these possibilities. Design thinking opens up your mindset to think through possibilities of failure even before you release the final version. And you keep doing those iterations till those failure points are reduced to a minimum that you cannot even find any more failures, right? So once a prototype is tested, it is cleared for release, then you go ahead and implement. So these are the 5 stages of design thinking. So let me take this question. How do you rate ideas as top 3? So Dilip bhai, your question is a fantastic question. And this is one of the, key aspects in very efficiently running a collective brainstorming. When you're doing a collective brainstorming, you have to keep these things in mind. The brainstorming has to be in such a way that no idea is ignored by the individual or by the group, which means your brainstorming method should be so strong that even someone who is extremely silent, who does not, who's afraid of judgment and does not open up and give up ideas, even that person's idea has to emerge. Because you never know, that person must be an end user, must be having a very unique challenge or a unique solution to the challenge. Right? So your brainstorming process should be something which encourages even ideas of the most silent person to come on the table. Okay. Now your brainstorming process should also be something, like I said, which generates quantity of ideas and not just focuses on the quality. You cannot eliminate, you're not allowed to eliminate. Now, when you have 100 ideas out there on the whiteboard, how do you rate the top 3? There is a technique called as a cluster or affinity. Okay. So in the cluster or affinity, what happens is when you have hundreds of ideas out there, you pick up a leader to walk up and cluster those similar sounding ideas together. Similar sounding solutions or similar sounding ideas are to be clustered together. The top 3 clusters, the clusters which have the maximum ideas there, are considered the top 3 consensus ideas, because maximum number of people have actually said the same thing, which means that seems to be the most prevalent solution to the problem statement. So that's one way of doing. If you're having a very psychologically safe group, like you know everybody and it's 15, 16 people, you can manage with that. You can even do open brainstorming. Open brainstorming is where you project the point of view statement. You ask people to speak up idea after idea, and you can take a vote by show of hands. And those ideas which have maximum show of hands become the top 3 ideas. So you can use any of these. But the point is, you arrive at choosing the top 3 ideas only when you generate all possible ideas. Do not eliminate any idea, so that you never know which idea could emerge in the top 3. So there are several such techniques. I hope I have answered your question. Pawan Kumar has a question. Will this thinking process also work for time-bound assignments? Design thinking process, I'll tell you, when and how you choose and you apply design thinking process. Definitely you should not apply it for anything and everything. There is a tool called as a design thinking ladder. It has 4 steps or 4 stages. Stage 1 is a problem statement of no design. Okay. So if you do not need to use design thinking for that problem statement, please do not forcibly use it. For example, you have foreign delegates visiting your office. Okay. And they want you to come up with a very unique traditional way of receiving them. So here, do you think you need to apply design thinking? No, because here you have to do something quickly right now. So this is stage 1. This is the stage of no design. Sometimes you have a problem statement where it's good to have a design, but you're really not going to implement it. That is a stage of design for style. Okay? So you have these furniture showrooms where furniture is placed in different ways so that people get a feel or an experience or a simulation of what it is. So that is a design for style. Nobody's going to really live there. Okay, so you can have a kitchen right in the middle of a space where you don't have a drainage. It will still show a sink and it will still show a water tap, but it's not a functional kitchen. So here you have design for style and it is not designed for utility. Okay. So if you want to solve a problem statement there of how do you design this space and convert it to a beautiful kitchen, you will use design thinking there. Now this could be time bound, but you can still use design thinking. Stage 3 is design as a process. When you're having to work through a process, you can use design thinking because you're looking at what is the end of that process, what is it that the end customer wants. You can do it. Even if it is time bound, you can still do. Only thing is your steps in design thinking have to be faster. Now, for somebody who's practicing design thinking, for me, design thinking comes naturally. I can do it even for something which is, I have to turn around in 2 days. I would still do design thinking. I know how to have empathy conversations. I know how to create a point of view statement. I know how to generate ideas from all possible people. I can test a prototype and run it even in 2 days, even in one day. So design thinking is possible even for time bound assignments. But if you're working on stage 4 of the ladder, which is designed for strategy, obviously strategy is something which is not to be turned around quickly. It is something which has very long standing consequences and a larger shelf life. So definitely design thinking there can be applied in its complete framework, but you can even do it for time bound thinking. What is important is, do you need design thinking for that particular problem statement or not? That is what you have to think. Dilip Bhai wants to know, do I have an example of design thinking applied to product designing, how it yielded a better product than traditional thinking? I have a very personal example here of where product designing was done using design thinking. And it has now become a very popular product. I don't know, probably my family has to take credit for it. Okay, so you might be seeing these days in apartments the clothes line for hanging clothes, which comes with pipes instead of ropes, and it also comes with a pulley where you can pull it down. Okay, this was a design thinking product, and actually, the earliest I saw was in my family, and this was in in the 1970s, when these kind of things were not there in the market. So in the 1970s, when we moved to Mumbai, I come from a very traditional, Tamil Brahmin family where there are lots of rules and procedures around hygiene of how clothes are to be put. And so my grandmother used to, she felt the need of, she would put the clothes to dry, her clothes to dry after a bath, and she would only take it next morning after a bath. Okay, she wouldn't touch it during the day. So any of those clothes lines with ropes, there were two problems that she faced. Okay, the clothes line would sag, no matter how tightly you tie it, you keep tightening it, it will sag over a period of time because the ropes start sagging, and it would be at hand level, and she wasn't happy with it, and she would not like the design of the rope to appear on her sari. Okay, so she was the end user, and she wanted a solution to this problem. So the way we worked on it is we put ourselves in her perspective. We could have said, okay, we'll think of a solution and give her a solution. But we said, okay, let's see what is bothering her. What was bothering her is not that the rope was sagging. What was bothering her is that people are able to touch it, and that is against her rules. Okay. So we had to do things which are solving her problem. So that is how we came up with this idea of using tubes or pipes, aluminum pipes. And we came up with this idea of her being able to put the clothes to dry and then take it up. So that was one of the products of design thinking which actually came. There are several such examples. If you look at, I think Videocon or Whirlpool was a company which came up with something called as a Chotu cooler. You can Google for Chotu cooler, or if I find a YouTube link of that video, I will share with the organizers, and you can share it in your team. Now, the Chotu cooler is something which is an indigenous design of a refrigerator, which can be used in rural India, where people struggle to keep things cool and where food is getting perished. So Chotu cooler is one such product of design thinking. There are these handheld blenders. Now that's a product of design thinking. So how products have evolved and they have become usable by different users, understanding what it is that the user wants, are all design thinking elements. And traditional thinking would put a limit to it, saying this cannot be done beyond a point. But design thinking opens up those avenues and you start creating new things. How design thinking products yield better product than traditional thinking is this. Design thinking gives you solutions or answers to things which traditional thinking would not even have imagined. Traditional thinking ends at a particular stage, whereas design thinking still comes up with ideas. Because design thinking, the divergent thinking where you get different ideas, you start looking at things in very, very different ways. And then when you converge the ideas, you come up with something which is path breaking, which is innovative. So innovation actually gets driven by design thinking, whereas traditional thinking does not drive innovation. Traditional thinking will give you incremental changes in things, but a design thinking will look at things from a completely different perspective, and it might even generate a completely new idea or a new product. And that's how it varies differently, completely from traditional thinking. So traditional thinking gives you incremental changes, design thinking gives you innovation. So that's something which I would say as a very simple takeaway. So design thinking, like I said, let me just quickly summarize. Design thinking starts with listening to a problem statement, but not jumping into solution. It starts with divergent thinking, where you have empathy mapped conversations with different end users. And then your brain does convergent thinking and you arrive at redefined problem statement or a point of view statement. The redefined problem statement or the point of view statement leads you to another phase of the ideation, where again you do divergent thinking and you generate as many ideas as possible, as many solutions as possible as a group things. So there is group consensus, and therefore it will work very well. Generate all those ideas in the ideation phase, and again do convergent thinking, arrive at a prototype or something that is ready for testing. Test the prototype in a very critical manner. It is not important that you look good and the product looks good. Test the prototype and see where all it is failing, see which are the areas where the end user is still dissatisfied. Go back to empathy phase or ideation phase, wherever it pushes you, go back, do it. Keep doing this iteration till the prototype is absolutely cleared by the design team or the testing team, and then move on to the implementation phase. So very clearly, these 5 stages of design thinking are split into inspiration phase, where you start with, I don't know, tell me more. You only get insights and inspiration. Then you move on to the ideation phase, where you explore all possible solutions, all possible ideas. And then you move on finally to the implementation phase after prototype testing, where you actually go ahead and implement it. So this is the very quick journey around design thinking. This is the entire thinking process. And how you put that into daily use is, whenever you arrive at a problem statement, do not jump into the solution. That's the starting point. For example, yesterday, an HR manager was asking me that employees in our organization are facing burnout. That's a challenge that they are facing. Is this a problem statement suitable for design thinking? So I asked her, is this something that you want to solve today? Or is it something that you want to solve as, come out with something which will live for a long time, which can be implemented as a process, as a policy, which is suitable for people and the business for a long time? Because you never know, it should be applicable for the future. So yes, so it is definitely not a stage one, no design stage in the design thinking ladder, right? So is it designed for style, or is it something that you really want to put to use? So it's not even a stage 2. It is stage 3 or maybe stage 4, okay, where you're thinking design. So you want to design a policy or a process which is implementable today, which is practically usable by people, which is making sense to people and also making sense to the business. Definitely, it has a 360-degree view to it, how it will impact what you do, and therefore it is a design thinking project. And how much of time you have, you define, but run the whole process through that much of time. It is possible. So she said, if I take 1 week's time, it is good enough. I can run all the stages within that 1 week, and I can come up with a prototype which the team can test it, and then we can release it. It's wonderful. So making a policy like that is a design thinking process in itself. Vinod Bhai wants to know, can design thinking be applicable in behavioral sciences? I would need some more elaboration on this question. Can I get an elaboration? What exactly do you mean applicable in behavioral science?
Attending on a YouTube, and he has sent me the SMS. I'll just try to get. I'll just
Okay.
see the his talk.
Okay. So while he
Behavioral
clarifies,
science is not something where things can be defined in a step by step. So he may be thinking that maybe
okay.
can we use this?
Okay. Let me. So while he clarifies, I can still assume what he wants to, and I can still answer. In when you're talking of, okay, so let me look at two kinds of skills. One is cognitive skills, and one is behavioral skills. Okay. So cognitive skills are things which can be taught in a classroom, and behavioral skills where you need to drive mindset change. Okay, so whatever you can teach in a classroom, you can give them, you can teach tools, techniques, templates, give them practice exercises, whatever till they learn that skill, and you can certify them. But when you're teaching behavioral skills, you're actually, if you want to drive a sustainable behavior, you have to change the mindset. Okay? Now, if I, for example, let me take behavioral skills, let me talk about problem solving as a behavioral skill. It's not a cognitive skill. I cannot teach problem solving by saying that these are the steps. Okay. First of all, I have to get my people to be ready to take on the problem. My problem is there. How many people are ready to take on a problem, hold the bull by its horns, right? So problem solving is a behavioral skill. And if I want to do that, I have to use reinforcement training. Now, when I'm doing reinforcement training, I'm actually applying design thinking in a way. When I'm doing reinforcement training, I'm first of all putting myself in that person's shoes and trying to understand what is a mindset he or she has, and what is a mindset he or she is looking at this problem. What is the behavior that he or she has, and what is it that we want to drive? So take a look at it, try to understand what is it they want to change, how is it they're willing to change. If we want the new behaviors, what are those new behaviors that are likely to come? Do all of that, see if it works, see how much of reinforcement is required. So it is as complicated or as simple as training your pet. Training your mind is as simple or as complicated as training your pet. You have to keep doing it repeatedly till it becomes a way of life. So there is design thinking framework which gets applied in that. So definitely when you're working with changing mindsets, when you have to drive a change, design thinking becomes a lot more meaningful there than traditional thinking. I hope I've answered Vinod Bhai's question. So if he's listening, he should have got the answer. If there's anything else, I'm always reachable. So you can reach out to me and I can help you with ideas and suggestions. By my clock, it is 7:27. Do we have any more questions? We can take a couple of questions. Otherwise, over to you to wind it up.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot with the very simple and easy example with the design thinking process part. I think we have covered the three questions. First from the Mr. Udham Singh. uh, Thank you, Mr. Udham Singh, and Mr. Dilip Pandyas are our managing committee members and very active participation in the Friday evening talk. The good question by Mr. Udham Singh. Pilot testing has a cost of many not to be needed for routine design or for upgradation. Why do we go for the pilot testing for all design thinking for all jobs? Wow.
Okay, brilliant question. So design thinking, first of all, is not required to be done when you have to make an incremental change, right? When you have to make a small incremental change to an existing process, do not apply design thinking there in its complete sense. So please do not get into prototype and piloting there, not required. Design thinking is required when you are coming up with something absolutely novel for a solution which did not exist. You're coming up with a new problem, there is no solution there, then you apply design thinking. So when you're applying something, when you're doing something novel, it is worthwhile to pilot it, test the prototype, let it fail if it fails. Otherwise, if you release something big bang, you'll have a problem. But if it is just an incremental change, do not use design thinking.
Wow. In this regards, there's a lighter note. There is a very good thought process from one of the prominent speaker and trainer, our Jai Vasavada on Gujarati person. सबसे बड़ा रोग क्या कहेंगे लोग? How we will apply whether it's a small change or big change.
But you know,
This the
you're right. सबसे बड़ा रोग क्या कहेंगे लोग is definitely the fear of judgment we all live in. Okay? So fear of judgment is something which I keep on talking about is when it comes to generating ideas, there is a problem statement in front of me. Most of the ideas I will eliminate myself because क्या कहेंगे लोग? But design thinking encourages people to build a psychologically safe space. The way a brainstorming is carried out, the way brainstorming is facilitated in design thinking is very unique, where there is no opportunity for people to eliminate any ideas. And if it is done the right way, sometimes the most unusual idea will be a breakthrough idea. And definitely, the fear of judgment is something which is restricting great ideas to come out. Design thinking breaks that perception in your mind, and great ideas emerge from there. That's why it is for innovation. It's not for incremental change.
Even it's a for application is very small, but the importance is very big. Light example is UPI, when the digital payment. When we can see somebody absolutely सीधा साधा इंसान, plumber kind of thing, or carpenter paying 10-15 rupees with help of Paytm. What's the wonderful India, I can see transformation because of idea. And
Yes,
we understood that what kind of, whether it's a pilot testing is done or not, whether the application is very large scale. But yes, what you say, absolutely right. There's always fear factor.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Next question.
And yeah, there's a
Yeah.
question here
Yeah.
from Saibal Bakshi saying, is there any course
Ah.
related to design thinking? Yeah, so design thinking is, there are certification courses. You'll find plenty in the market, which ranges from 4,000 rupees to 45,000 rupees. So there are different people who do it. So you can pick up courses of your choice. I also run training programs on design thinking, but my only request or suggestion is uh, a design thinking course when you choose, depending on whatever is your affordability, pick up a course which gives you an action learning project, because design thinking is not theory. You can read theory or you can listen to this talk and you can say it's good, it's not good, but you really get a flavor of it only when you practice. So whether you
Yes.
do a course which is online self learning, or whether you do it from any organization, or you attend any of my courses, whatever it is, pick up a course which has an action learning project in it. Otherwise, it is meaningless. So that's my only piece of advice. So whichever design thinking course that you do, you find, don't go only for a self-learning followed by a quiz and a certification. That won't help you. It has to have an action learning project. So look out for a course with an action learning project, and then you become a certified practitioner.
So there is an opportunity for Baroda Management Association to organize
Yeah,
at
and it
least
can be
full
done
time.
remotely also.
Yeah.
So we can do a practitioner's course for BMA. I'll be more than happy to do it. So we can figure out.
Wow. So this is a just trailer or teaser of the
Yeah,
talk
this is
show.
just an overview, because it is, unless you practice it, like design thinking is thinking, right?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
mindset
yeah,
change. So unless you
yeah,
practice
yeah,
it, and
absolutely.
I don't certify anybody till they
Yeah,
complete the practitioner's course.
no, no, no. And I think in just adding to this kind of subject, what you say is not theory. You need some trainer, but at the same time, a good quality of participation from the if there are the 20 people attending program, and if there is a brainstorming session is going on within that participants, then can only we can, I can say, get develop ourselves. And yes, uh, for me at least, this Friday evening talk show is one of the design thinking process that every time I got the new opportunity to meet the new people and see Mr. Udham Singh is there or Mr. Dilip Pandya. हर एक टॉक शो में कोई ना कोई उनका क्वेश्चन जैसा है, तो हर बार मुझे पता चलता है कि हमारे साथ कैसे बड़े बड़े लोग मैनेजिंग कमेटी में जुड़े हुए हैं. थैंक यू.
Absolutely.
So next question is Mr. Atul Kumar Carpet.
Hmm.
In formation of the corporate policies, is there scope of involving masses and become a democratic to bring the about concept? I think,
Brilliant. Who
yeah.
asked this question? Just give me the name of the person who asked this
Mr.
question.
Atul Kumar Karpe.
I love this question, and let me tell you, the what you see behind me, the book Maverick, written by Ricardo Semler. That book is a classic example of how an organization was, that to a manufacturing industry, how it was changed completely from being a bureaucratic, hierarchically driven organization, and it was completely made democratic and self-managed, where every individual actually drives the results of the company. So if you ask me, having been in HR most of my life, what I have been doing is make your processes and policies so democratic that you're actually involving every user to create it. And that's what design thinking does. It gives you the methodology to do that. So what happens is when people are involved in creating it, the ownership is with them. And if you go back to any of my previous employers, any of the policies which I must have created, they have all outlived me. They're still there. They're still relevant because the people created it. So it's making sense for them. But if I drive something, if I say that this is how you have to do it, there will be 10 people who will say that I want to break your rules. So design thinking, because it is people centric, it helps you to drive democratic styles of management.
Oh, yeah. Deepak bhai, would you like to say something?
Yeah, at this stage, thank you, madam, for being with Baroda Management Association. And at this stage, I thank Mr. Andrew also, who is there. He has already delivered a talk with Baroda Management Association, and he is always helpful in suggesting the good faculty. And the madam was suggested by him, and I
I
think
must
that
thank Andrew too,
yeah.
a very good friend, and he
So
was
I'm
insisting that
really
I
happy with
come over
Andrew.
here. So I
And
must
I think,
thank him.
madam, we have met during one of the HR Kitli meeting, I believe. Have you attended HR Kitli meeting in Baroda anytime?
Yeah, the last one.
Yeah, no. So I think that we have met during that
Okay.
program.
Okay.
And thank you very much for coming to accepting our invitation to deliver a talk on Friday evening talk. And it was one of the best program. We enjoyed, and I think participants also enjoyed. And there are a lot of people who are there on the YouTube. They are also basically asking questions. So I think that, and the same thing is basically uploaded live, recorded and uploaded live on the website of the Baroda Management Association. So people can, those who have missed, can also attend the program and listen to it. So there are a lot of participants who are not able to make Friday evening because of their pre-engagement. So they later on go to the website of the Baroda Management Association and listen to the program. So I think that thank you very much for contributing in richly in the Baroda Management Association Friday evening talk. And I think I don't have words to express thanks to Nimil Bhai for handling Baroda Management Association Friday evening talk so successfully. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deepak bhai. Thank you, Miss Harini Srinivasan. Because of you, today I came to know the CAD CAM master, computer master, software design master is also connected with HR Kitli. Wow, Deepak bhai, new idea. Wow,
In fact,
आप तो छुपे रुस्तम निकले सर.
no. It's not that. HR Kitli, in fact, I have invited them to use our premises for doing their program. They were before this pandemic. So they were
Oh.
using our premises. So that is how I'm connected. And I really like the way program being done by them. So I started attending those programs also. I like some of the topics which they have done. And I enjoy it. So I used to attend those programs.
Oh, okay. Just thank you. Let's move forward for the upcoming program. Friends, in next 3 to 4 days, I think today is the 26th, 31st March is the last day of the financial year. So first of all, let's enjoy the next 3 days of Holi and virtual Dhuleti. Being a Gujarati without colors, how can I add colors of life in my regular routine? And I will not play the Dhuleti again because of Corona, but okay anyway. But let us focus on the 30th March. We have organized the 1.5 hour workshop on a subject, very good subject, interesting subject of new labor code. This is one of the subjects is highly demand from many our members, and thanks to the KPMG and IMA, they supported us to organize the program. Webinar speaker is a Mr. Mitul Shah. He's a basically partner at Tax and Regulatory Service BSR and Company. He's a by profession chartered accountant, and you can see on the screen the basically main highlight of the program: definition of wages and impact, then the new ages of worker, contract labor and fixed term employment, registration and licensing, facilitating and benefit, duties of occupier and the industrial relations. So very good topics. And those who want to interested and partake the participation, you can note down the contact number, or I am just sharing link for the registration in the chat box. So you can just copy this link and straight away register yourself. At the same time, if you are interested to refer, again this about this flyer. So I am sharing the link for the same. Again, this is mean for flyer. So once again, thanks a lot. And this program is open for all. Anybody can join. Madam, if you are free and interested, you are also most welcome. And last but not least, specifically for the members of the Baroda Management Association, again, offline election process is going on, and 30 March evening 5 o'clock is the deadline. So my humble request to every members, please vote yourself and support the BMA by identifying a proper candidate as per your mindset, what's thinking. And that's the reason the design thinking process program we organize, you can say, like this today. So thank you once and again all, once again, and see you next Friday at the same time, 6:30. And I'm very happy that Deepak Bhai has announced in advance that he will join the next Friday very actively and start as an again role of the chairmanship. And thanks Deepak Bhai. एक छोटा सा वैकेशन आपको मिला और मुझे अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली आफ्टर 2
अरे
years
यार, आपको
in the
अपॉर्चुनिटी का है. I mean, you
chairmanship.
have taken this responsibility. And these are ample opportunity for you. You are the pillar of FET, and thank you very much for
Sir, sir,
taking this responsibility in my absence. And you are one of the
sir.
wonderful person I ever met in my life. Thank you very much,
Are,
Manoj.
sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you, madam, once again. And we honor the questions as well as consider as a demand from the participant regarding the full day program. Let us see in the next financial year how we can organize virtually. So definitely, Deepak Bhai, thanks a lot. Because of your efforts, today we have invited speaker from Bombay, and you can see the end of the program. We are in process to design a program for the full day. So let us hope for the best and keep our finger crossed. As soon as early, we will organize your full day program. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so
See you.
much.
Good
Pleasure
night.
was all mine.
And
Happy to be
happy
here.
Holi.
Okay,
Happy
bye.
Holi.
Good
Happy
night.
Holi to
Happy
everyone and
Holi.
stay safe.
Happy Holi to everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.